Welcome to the Butler Beat. I'm Kyle Beery. The college basketball season is underway at Butler. I'm joined today by the new head coach of the Butler women's basketball team, Kurt Godleski, to talk about his path to Butler and talk about the new season. So, Coach, thanks for joining me. I guess we'll start by talking about a little bit of your background. How'd you end up at Butler?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. We had a terrific high school team down in Bedford, North Lawrence, and I kind of started looking into the college game and seeing if that was something that maybe I wanted to pursue, and had a good friend of mine who got a Division I head job at Youngstown State, and we started kind of negotiating, and through the recruiting process of several of my players, I got to be friends with the staff up here, and knew one of them was the head coach at Youngstown State at one point in time, and so called up more or less to find out about salaries and how it worked at Youngstown. And when they found out that I was interested in pursuing that, they said, well, why don't you come here and work for us? And so one thing kind of led to another, and it was a really good fit for me with my background in education and with the standards that we have here at Butler University, and I've just really enjoyed it since.
And I guess going even further back, you're a graduate of Northern Michigan University. How did you end up coming to Indiana to coach high school girls basketball?
My first teaching job that I got was in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and I had married my childhood sweetheart, and both of us, had grew up in southern Indiana, and had the opportunity to go back and coach at, our alma mater in high school, and they've had a long history of basketball success, and just was really appreciative of the honor and humbled by the opportunity to do it, and that's how we ended up back in Indiana and teaching and coaching, and then eventually a principal of an elementary school while coaching down there. And so just kind of one thing led to another, and like I said, they had a rich tradition and had a lot of really good, talented, good kids coming through at the right time for me.
And you talk about this rich tradition, and you said you've had some pretty good teams come through there, and you won the state championship your last year there, which was 2 years ago, correct?
Yes, we ended up going 28-0. Had, like I said, a great group of young ladies that were really close to one another and hardworking, disciplined, tough, fundamental. I mean, all those Indiana qualities that you would think of as a basketball player. And we just kind of had some really unique opportunities to not just succeed on the court, but challenges that we had to go through to get to that point to be 28-0, and it was something that I'll never forget. It was so memorable, so fun, and really a great reward for all the work that we put in from the time that I got there. We were on the road taking those kids around from the time they were in 3rd, 4th grade, traveling around the state, playing various teams and different schools, and the preparation to get to that point was and to get that award was awesome.
Absolutely, I can only imagine what that felt like. But so how are things going as you're getting into your first year as a head coach? You were an assistant last year, and so I guess not as much adjusting. It's not a brand new school to you, but how are you feeling so far as the head coach?
I'm enjoying it, and the opportunity to leave your imprint with a program to me is important, and to do it the right way is even more important. And like I said at the start, we've got a certain high set of standards here at Butler University, and I want to make sure that we live up to those with our young ladies that we're bringing in and the young ladies that we have here and currently, and we're working hard to achieve those. But we've got a great group of girls, and they have a lot of those same qualities I talked about with my former high school team. They're bonding and growing, and I think they're accepting the challenges that I'm laying out there for them, and we're excited to really take that first step with them, and we're continuing to get better every day, and it's been a great experience. I've learned a lot from them, and I hope they continue to learn a lot from me.
And you just had your exhibition game last year, which was against Northern Michigan. Was that pretty cool, getting to coach against your old school?
I enjoyed it. Troy Mattson was my college coach, and He made the jump to the women's side about 9 years ago, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. He's done nothing but win there, and really instilled in me the qualities while I was there that I carry with me into coaching today about being disciplined and being fundamental and playing together and winning through defense. And so I have a ton of respect for him, and so it was a little bit bittersweet because I obviously with your alma mater, you want to see them succeed, but to have the chance to coach against your mentor, so to speak, was a unique opportunity, and for us to come out on the winning side, kind of, like I said, a little bittersweet, but we enjoyed it, and I thought we gained a lot from it, and have really grown since that in practice from the time of the exhibition game.
And was that something you had a hand in bringing in Northern Michigan then?
I did last year as an assistant. He had called me, and Troy's like me. He's a basketball. He's a basketball buff. He's into all of it and studies it and the history of basketball. And so he wanted to come and play in Hinkle Fieldhouse one time. And so I had worked it out with our assistant last year that was doing the scheduling for him to come down. And for me now to be the head coach and him to do that, it worked out. It was neat.
And you mentioned Hinkle Fieldhouse. I mean, growing up in Indiana, I'm sure you know all about the history of it, and now they've renovated it. What do you think of the renovations? Is it still Hinkle, despite all the new state-of-the-art?
Well, I think you can never take away the history out of Hinkle. I mean, everything that has happened inside that building is just amazing to me, and the fact that I get to go to work there every day is even that much more special to me, just because of how I appreciate that part of it. But the renovations are beautiful. They did a tremendous job, and it was something that really we needed to do to compete with the type of recruits that we now have to go after to compete in the Big East. And they really did a fantastic job with making our girls having their student athlete experience be special through that. And I don't think you could ever take away what the history of is Hinkle, even though to me now the bottom part of it looks more like a NBA kind of arena, but
Sure.
You can still just smell it reeks of basketball, and I love that.
It reeks of basketball. So obviously the regular season gets going here next weekend, the 14th. You head up to Valparaiso, and then Sunday you'll be playing against Indiana State, first game in Hinkle. Tell me about the team a little bit. I mean, lost several players from last year, pretty young team now. How are you feeling about them heading into the season?
Well, like you said, we're young. I think we're still, and they are still trying to understand what it is exactly that we want of them, and I'm talking about individually. Every person, we're big believers in every person has a role. Whether it's, on this particular play you've got to be a screener. On this particular play you got to be a cutter, or my job is to defend an individual as hard as I possibly can at this point in time. And they're really starting to embrace those types of different things. I think you've seen flashes of it at Northern Michigan. But we do have some really special, talented kids. I think IJ is one of those types of players who has the opportunity to really make a big impact in the Big East. I think Blair Langlois, as a junior, has probably grown as much as any player in our program over the past summer and into this fall. She's been a wonderful leader. We have some younger girls that in Sydney Buck and Nicole Orr, who Sydney's a specialty type of player who can shoot the ball from anywhere on this side of half court, and me as a shooter, I really appreciate that and value that. And Nicole Orr, she has an opportunity to be, like IJ, she can be a really special player in the Big East. And then we did pick up a post player in Andriana Moore. Her nickname's Frey, from Wabash Valley College, and she's she's continuing to improve, continuing to work on her conditioning, but for a big girl, she's got great hands, great feet, and a great touch around the basket. So I think we have a lot of pieces in place. It's just really, that's the part of coaching that I like is watching the team just as the season progresses, kind of mold and come together and find what your niche is, and then just be really good and really great at that. And that's what we're working towards.
And this is the school's second season in the Big East Conference. Is that a bit of a daunting task?
It is, like you said, we lost a lot of players, through the process last year, and depth is one of the things that is a concern of our coaching staff. But the Big East is talented, and I said it at media day. We've got great coaches in our league, and we've got great players. And if you're not prepared every day, they will expose you. And so we've got to do that. We've got to, today, at practice today, we've got to get better today in preparation for that. And when those game times arise, as a coaching staff, we've got to prepare our young ladies to take on that task, and then they've just got to be mentally and physically prepared. But it's a great league. It's an exciting, and what I like about it is it's a basketball conference, and it's got all that history surrounding it, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see how it develops and grows over the next coming years.
And then you've got some fun games out of conference. There's you go out west for a tournament to Hawaii, correct?
Correct.
And you're playing at a Big Ten school at Minnesota. What's that going to be like to travel now that you're out of the high school game, and now you're going all the way to Hawaii? What's that going to be like?
Well, that'll be a first for me, as with a lot of our players. But I think that's part of the student athlete experience, Kyle, is being able to travel and see all the different venues that our great country has to offer, and we get to. I think I heard somebody say we get to go to the birthplace of our country, the financial, really backbone of our entire world, and a lot of different unique places that we get to visit, and that's part of the unique student-athlete experience. But going to Hawaii, I think, is going to be a special time for our girls. We play two really good teams out there that were in the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament last year. University of Minnesota has two players that, from what I understand, are potential WNBA prospects. So we're going to have our hands full, and I think they're going to be great preparations for the travel side of the Big East and in the competition side.
All right, and that's going to be all the time we have for today. The regular season, as I mentioned, tips off for the Butler women's basketball team on November 14th at Valparaiso, and the first home game for the Lady Bulldogs will be November 16th at Hinkle Fieldhouse against Indiana State. Thanks again to my guest, Coach Kurt Godleski of the Butler women's basketball team. And for the Butler Beat, I'm Kyle Beery.